Okay, so we're going to go over decreases. Decreases are used to shape most garments and to make toys and to make anything that gets smaller after it's been made to a certain size. So hats, gloves, mittens, sweaters, stuffed animals, anything that might have a decorative need to be decreased. Um, they're fairly simple once you do them. They can be a little intimidating just to look at them. So I'm going to go over the more common ones that I've seen. The first of which is knit two together, which mostly looks like that, which is a K2TOG. And that is just literally treating two stitches as if they're one. So you knit through, so you see I've got two stitches here, and I'm going to knit through them both as if they're one stitch, because I want them to become one stitch. I'll show you that again. I'm going to knit through two, and they become one. And that's how simple that one is, a knit two together. You're just treating two stitches as though they're one and knitting them both at the exact same time so that they come together. So now another one you'll see is the opposite of that, which is a purl two together. And that looks just like the knit two together, only you see a P instead of a K. So it's a P2TOG, typically. So that's basically exactly the same thing. You're just going to purl two stitches at the same time. So that's putting two stitches on, purling them once, and they become one. Show you that again. That's purling two stitches at the same time. Okay? So again, fairly simple. Those are fairly common. Depending on what side of the work you're working on, or if it's a decorative element, usually I only see a purl two together when you're working on the wrong side. I've very rarely seen it on the front side because you end up seeing two bumps instead of just one. And purl bumps, typically you only want to see the one if you want to see one at all. So another one is a slip-slip knit, and that's just SSK. And a slip-slip knit leans the opposite direction of a knit two together. So when you slip-slip knit, you're going to slip as if you're going to knit. You're going to slip one from the left to the right, slip two from the left to the right. Then you're going to take your right needle and you're going to put it into the front side of those two loops that you just moved over, those two stitches, and then you're going to knit them just like that. So you see the loops are now going towards the left. Whereas when you knit two together, I'll show you that, the loops lean to the right. So for decorative purposes, slip-slip knit can be used to mirror a knit two together. Alright, undo those. Alright, so I'm going to show you that again. A slip-slip knit is a slip like to knit, slip like to knit. Put the needle in the front of both and knit them together, just like that. Another thing you might see is what's called a slip knit past the stitch over. And you could see that any of a lot of different ways. There's SKPSSO. It could want you to slip two, which could be SSKPSSO, or it could be written as SL1 PSO or SPSO, or any combination of that that group, SLSTPOO. I mean, there's no standard for this one, but they all do the same thing, which is to slip a stitch or two stitches, knit one, and then pass the the 1 or 2 slipped stitches over the knit stitch and off the needle. So I'm going to show you that. So we'll do 1. So we're going to slip as to knit, unless the pattern indicates otherwise. Sometimes it'll say slip as to purl because they want it to go the other direction. So slip, knit, and pass over. Okay, I'll show you that again. So you'll slip a stitch, knit a stitch, and pass the slipped stitch over and off. So to do it as if to purl would be to slip this way. We'd still knit, and then we'd slip it off, and you can see a mild difference, but some designers really want to use that. There's really not that much of a difference. This one's a little bit more centered, whereas this one's a little bit more leaned. Get my camera to focus on that. At any rate, you're not really going to see a slip as a purl as often as you'll see a slip as to knit. Most of the time you're going to see a knit two together anyway. There's not going to be a whole lot of opportunity, unless you're doing lace, to do a pass stitch over. So that is the basic decreases, and they're all fairly simple. Once you've done them a couple times, you'll totally get the hang of them. They won't be hard anymore. So there you go. That's decreasing.